The Elderly Wolf Uncle Chapter 28. Raise your noble hand and let us go. Several homeless men fell to the ground and begged for mercy. Do you know Kim He? Chen Tian glanced at them and asked. His purpose tonight is to find the underground Emperor Jin He and make Hell's Kitchen the first piece of the puzzle of the empire. After all, Jin He's gangster can be said to cover the sky with one hand in New York, even most of the north. Kim He? When the homeless man heard the familiar name, he trembled unconsciously, and seemed to hear the demon crawling out of hell. He often haunts the warehouse of Hell's Kitchen, and Kim goes out there every night. The homeless man took a deep breath and said tremblingly, "Good." Chen Tian got an answer before letting go of the homeless man. Everyone knows where King is, including the New York City police. He looked at Chen Tian's back behind turning around and reminded him. The meaning of this sentence of the homeless man is obvious, as the underground emperor, Jin He, is an extremely dangerous guy. Chen Tian didn't pay much attention to him and left directly. Everyone in New York City knows where this big group is hiding, but they think they are at the top of the food chain, and even the police dare not provoke them. They even had a lot of important dirt in their hands, and they were able to sell it to government officials and celebrities. Underground trading, even arms smuggling. There is nothing they dare not do, because no one will bind them, and even if there is, it will only be symbolic. This is Hell's Kitchen. At this time, the sky gradually came to the middle of the night. Night hangs over the city. Meanwhile, in a warehouse in Hell's Kitchen, a group of workers were busy moving goods. Their steps were hurried, but all did not know that danger was creeping in. You stupid pigs, move me faster. If you delay Jinhe's business, everyone will not be able to eat and go. The bald man next to him had a cold gaze, his eyes scanning back and forth impatiently and urging. Bush, I'll worry, Daredevil will come over. The muscular Max walked over, his eyebrows showing worry. In the past, Daredevil would always interfere with Jinhe's business from time to time, causing a lot of losses to the latter. Those in power suffer losses, and the pressure naturally spreads anger on their subordinates. Don't worry, that damn blind man was crippled by the bullseye yesterday, and whether you can get up today is one thing. If he really dares to come again, it is a desire to die. Tonight's business, no one dares to interfere. Bush raised his eyebrows when he heard his companion speak like this, and sneered coldly. Since you said so, I am relieved. Max, who had been worried, heard that the annoying Daredevil was actually crippled, and suddenly felt a stone fall in his heart. And yet, at this time, damn it, stop him, don't let him in. Quote, ah, my hand, quote. There was a heart-rending scream from the guards outside the warehouse, and even if you just listened to the sound, you could feel that something extremely terrifying had happened to them. Josh, a bald man who had just been light, and his companion Max changed their faces when they heard the voice, looked at each other, and their pupils vibrated continuously. Daredevil is here again? Just when the two were in doubt. Several of his subordinates who had fled in a hurry ran into the warehouse, each with a bloodless face and an extremely frightened expression. Monster, monster. Some people even couldn't hold the gun in their hands, shouted loudly and didn't look back, just run for their lives. Looked at, both Josh and Max frowned. Daredevil came to disrupt their business. It was not just a matter of a day or two, but no matter which time, these subordinates did not have such a tragic reaction. What's going on? Their reaction is also too exaggerated, right? The two frowned with doubts in their hearts, and at the same time silently pulled out the guns. At this time, they saw that behind those subordinates who were fleeing for their lives, there was an unfamiliar figure that slowly walked in. I saw that the man's body was covered with bullet holes, and his clothes were stained red with blood, but he was unmoved by his injuries, and walked smoothly towards the warehouse. Stop. Do you know where this is? This is Jinhe's territory. When Josh and Max saw this scene, their faces changed greatly, their pupils shrank, and they raised their guns in panic and threatened. Where is Kim? That figure was none other than Chen Tian. He looked coldly at the two people who raised their guns towards him in front of him, and asked in a cold voice. As he spoke, Chen Tian's footsteps did not stop, and he walked straight towards the other party. Stop, I'll shoot again. Josh aimed the muzzle at Chen Tian's eyebrows, and threatened angrily. However, Chen Tian on the opposite side was not moved at all, and even quickened his pace. Fuck! Josh cursed angrily and decisively pulled the trigger. The pitch-black muzzle flashed fire, and a burst of gunfire rang out through the warehouse, and bullets spun out. Chapter 36. Mind Cage. The boy who broke into the gold and base. Bang! Gunshots rang out in the open, old warehouse, and bullets carried huge destructive power through Chen Tian's skull, leaving a hideous blood hole in his eyebrows. The flesh and blood at the wound became scorched black by the high temperature of the bullet. But Josh didn't have the slightest joy on his face. Because the boy standing on the opposite side who was pierced through the head was actually not affected in the slightest, the wound was visible to the naked eye and healed rapidly. And bullets fell out of his forehead. The steps towards them did not fluctuate except for a pause when they were just shot. Fuck! Josh and Max instantly lost all their blood color, and stood in place, their eyes wide and full of horror. They looked at Chen Tian, as if they saw Satan crawling out of hell. His blood seemed to be flowing backwards, and his body quickly became cold. At this time, how could the two not understand that the young man in front of them was not a human being, nor was it an existence that they could match? The haze of death filled their minds, leaving them speechless and unable to make any moves. Then, a barrage of bullets crashing to the ground brought them back. Josh and Max looked back, their bodies shook, and they were almost scared. Chen Tian had already discharged all the bullets in his body, and all the wounds on his body were healing, and he walked not far from them. Tell me, where is Kim? He looked at the other two indifferently, and spoke in a calm tone. Josh opened his mouth just to say something. However, in the blink of an eye, countless unknown gang members surrounded from all directions like a black tide. With the muzzle of the black light flowing in his hand, Shi brushed and aimed at Chen Tian. Shoot me, shoot hard, beat this monster into a sieve for me. Beat. Quote. Josh saw his men ready. As if a drowning man had grasped the last straw, his face twisted and he spoke eagerly, and even his voice was hoarse. However, in the next second, Chen Tian's fingertips had lightly touched his temples. Buzz. Invisible psychic fluctuations spread. Josh's words fell, but there was no expected dense gunfire, and the entire warehouse fell into an eerie silence. First chapter. Previous